You have to have discipline in it. When I wrote advertising 8 hours a day, and you take it home with you. A good copywriter is writing a headline at 2 o'clock in the morning when he wakes up. The headline is the flag on the meat. You get a headline right, it's like a chorus in a song. My name is Alan Weitzman. My chosen career, mostly advertising. I grew up really during World War II. I experienced the bombing. Like most people, we were in London, which is, of course, one of the most heavily hit areas. I think the hardest thing for kids was the evacuation program. And so, we started like so many people after World War II. We took the grand journey. We were that new wave of immigrants that showed up at Ellis Island. I remember we got on the highway in the Jersey Turnpike, and in England we have 3 flavors of ice cream: vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. Well, all my young life I'd heard about Howard Johnson's, and Howard Johnson's was the Everest of ice cream flavors. I said, can I go get an ice cream? So, okay, they gave me the money. I go over there, I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the 56 flavors, I think is the way they market it. And I'm looking, just trying to make a decision. And I picked something, banana fudge ripple or something like that. And it's from a dour-looking woman who really didn't seem like she wanted to be up, let alone on the job, looked at me and said, we're out of it. Well, I recovered, retrenched, and quickly adjusted to the situation and picked out something which was equally, at least exciting, but maybe a bit obscure. He said, we ain't got that either. So I just panicked and said, I'll take vanilla. So here I am in America. I woke up one day and I thought, I'm going to go in the Army. Now, this is a totally irrational decision. There was a war going on. I'm 17. I should be staying in high school. I should be getting ready to go to college. I want to go in the Army because I'm going to meet all of America. And it was a strange request, really, but it was true. Then there comes a day when I wasn't really trained for anything except, pulling people out of a swimming pool, which is, only got so much longevity. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I started answering classified ads for these kind of jobs that pay you no money, but if you can sell something, you can earn something. And did that for a couple of years, and I got lucky. I got a position with Diners Club, a division. There's a travel division. We came in one morning and were gathered together in this large meeting room and said, you're all released, which of course is a slightly politer word for fired. They gave me a plane ticket back to Baltimore and I think a couple $100 and a letter of recommendation. And I thought, well, you got to be on a plane, get a book. And then I saw this deliciously lurid title, Confessions of an Advertising Man. I thought that was wonderful. I thought, who wrote that? It's written by a man named Doug Ogilvy, who really wrote the book on successful advertising in America in many ways. So he became my model. I read that book over and over and over again until I knew every word in it. Sitting next to me on the plane is a very large man. He said, where are you going, son? Well, I told him I just got in the Army and I was going to go back, and I read this book and it really interested me. So what are you going to do, start your own business? I said, well, I thought about it. He said, how are you going to get the money? I said, well, I'm not really sure. I just try and borrow it. He said, let me tell you the first thing. People are afraid of banks. They think they're something special. Banks ain't nothing special. They buy money wholesale and they just sell it retail. And they make you think that's something special. Well, it ain't. So he said, how much money are you looking for? So I said, well, I'm not really sure, 5,000? He said, call me, gave me his car, call me. Turns out he's the chairman of the board of one of the major banks in Washington. And we became friends on the plane. He helped me with a loan, and I'm in business. And I thought, what the devil have I done? And I went and I got myself a brass sign that said Weitzman Advertising. And I thought, no, Weitzman and Associates Advertising. Because sooner or later we're going to have some associates. And then I picked up a copy of the newspaper and thought, the only way I can do this is find the worst ads in the world and hopefully make them better. You give me the top third of the ad. I'll give you the 2/3 of the ad. You're going to pay for the whole thing, but I get to do what I want with the top third. I'm going to run interesting things. I'm going to get this ad read. How do I make this agency into something that's special? And I thought, well, why not take on the industry itself? So I was sitting there and I thought, there's a contradiction here. Advertising agencies sell the value, the necessity, the success of advertising. And they make a great deal of money if they can convince a potential client of those three things. But what do advertising agencies do themselves? Why not take this same criteria for commercial success in America, advertising, and apply it to yourself? After all, an advertising agency sells a product, it sells a service, just like the plumber does. And I thought, that's it. So I wrote an ad called, Ever Wonder Why Your Advertising Agency Doesn't Advertise? Or Money Meet Mouth. I had a little cartoon of a guy with a dollar bill stuck in his teeth. And I took every penny I had and bought a full-page ad in the Washingtonian magazine. I had calls because I hit a nerve. The agencies hated it because I put the fire under their feet. Why didn't they advertise? And clients who routinely get large bills from agencies and say, what the hell am I getting for your money? Finally liked someone who basically dealt with the issue. In 90 days, I had a name, I had a reputation, and I had a business. The second ad I ran was actually a sequel to that first ad. And it just said, a funny thing happened when we put our money where our mouth was. I mean, all these things were designed really to take on an industry and take its clients away from it. Advertising is a little like life. The temptation is to settle. Around here, we're going to fight that every day. There will never be a mediocre ad go out of this agency. Now, retail is a stepchild in advertising. Big agencies don't want it. You have to turn around too fast. You're selling socks, sticking a price on them. Well, I didn't do nothing but retail. There's nothing available to me. Well, there were 16 ads entered that year into the New York Ad Show. Of those 16, 11 of them were mine, and every one won. We suddenly were, who the hell are they? It's nice to have the prestige of big clients, but all I wanted really was a good ad. I'd rather do a good ad for a small client than a bad ad for a big one. We won the town's first Clio. So I took a full-page ad of the Washington Post and listed everyone I want, 1,000 people I wanted to come to a party. And it was less because I knew what I was doing. I was not inviting 1,000 people. I was leaving 1,000 people off. And the psychology of that was far more important. No one really knew how, but Clio somehow vanished. And then I wrote a ransom note, cutting out little bits of paper. If you want your Clio back, so on and so forth. And I told the Washington Post, I went it was a gag, we can't find this thing. So it made the paper. And then 3 days later, we found it. It'd been tucked into a closet somewhere. I never stopped milking things, for a PR, for really a press opportunity. Headlines in some ways almost be slightly taunting. We ran an ad for breeches, for trench coats. World War I was hell, especially when it rained. When you pay too much for carpeting, you cannot sweep your regrets under the rug. And all of a sudden, it made sense to people. I always felt that the critical component of successful advertising was truth, which is why I've always said, if all advertising were truthful, all advertising would be trusted. And it would be. Writing is compression. How much can you say truthfully with the least amount of words? I'm trying to use less than 7. I've always said there's only 2 words that really matter in advertising in the long run. Be liked, be remembered. Do those 2 things in advertising or life, and you will always win. Editing is an art. I said, that's pretty good, John. We sat around for a while, and I walked up behind him, and I grabbed a red pencil, and I struck out the word and it was just editing is art. It's much stronger. One less word. I said, Bob, here's my idea. Let's take a blank a masthead of the Washington Star. The rest of the page will be blank, and that'll be the next day's date, and there'll be nothing there. Calls me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Al, can you hear something? Yeah. I got a thought about that ad for the Washington Star. Okay, what is it, Bob? I think it needs a few words. What are they, Bob? I think we ought to say, silence is not golden. And it just made the point in 4 words. The word team, I dislike it. Because when I see Ford Motor Company running out, our team, well, their team is 150,000 people. That ain't a team. That's a very large conglomerate, okay? But we did have a team. And it really was, we paid less wages because we were small. We didn't have a competitive edge in terms of, what we had in our Foot Locker. We got people to work for us because they knew we were good. I'd hire people that, I'd say, write me an ad. And they'd say, well, I've never written an ad. I said, well, you can now. Write an ad about that Chevy truck that's sitting outside. You know the name of the brand, you know it's got 4 wheels, you know it's a truck, you know what trucks do. Write me an ad. I don't care if we have that account. I care how well can you write about that Chevy truck. And I'd hire people based just on how they could take an abstract idea and write about it. An advertising agency is really 3 components. It's media, the product itself, which is the material. The third is account service. I always made sure that all 3 were held in equal respect. Don't become a copyist. Don't become a stylist, unless you develop the style. There are 60 people that I owe my agency to. It's a little ad village. The best ads we ever did were when we were smaller. I never found that getting bigger meant getting better. Most of my agency really still is in touch with each other. It's gone from being an ad agency to basically a small fraternity. I don't miss advertising. I proved I can do it, and I miss so much the people that were this agency. We believe so much in ourselves. We took chances, and a good chance, because when it pays off, pays well. We proved that nothing was sacred, but there was also no place for bad manners. We proved that advertising had to be held to itself. Honesty in advertising. Believe it or not, it works. Clients want you to do things sometimes too that really aren't right. They oversell what they want you to oversell for them. I would never do that. We all look for a way to find some self-value in ourselves, some reason for ourselves, really. And we can't always do that all by ourselves. And these 60 people helped me find that. There are times when I've asked myself many times, why was Weitzman Weitzman? What made it? Joe Muscati, who's a great art director, Joe one day said, Alan, he says, you were a hell of a front man. And then I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I was a pretty good front man, but I had an amazing backing band. In the 40 years I've been pushing a pencil in pursuit of ad copy that works, I've scribbled a thought or two on a cocktail napkin or a fly page. They're served in small doses, set in small type, and served up on small pages, so as not to overstate their importance. Advertising, the WD-40 of business. Honesty in advertising, it works. Approach ad copy as a chat with a stranger. Advertising, the prerogative of business, to be celebrated or ignored. To thine own ads, be true. Ads, the love letters of business. If you want advertising that works, make a better promise. Then keep it.